primary instrument known to man. If you'll go back and read the Old Testament, you'll see that it was used as the Israelites were leaving Egypt. But step forward to the American Revolution. At that point, we were using fifes and drums to try to communicate on the battlefield. With the sound of muskets and cannons, that didn't work very well, and obviously the sound of the human voice was not going to carry very far. During the Napoleonic era, Napoleon figured out this along with a lot of other things. And Napoleon actually had a school for buglers. And the bugler became almost like we would think of a radio man. The bugler is the one who communicates to a large mass of troops what the commander by voice simply cannot do. Now, a bugler is going to, in the Civil War, you would have had a completely different set of bugle calls for infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Although the artillery and the cavalry are quite similar because the artillery was drawn by horses and mules. An infantry bugler would have to know from memory, just like that, 47 different bugle calls. We all know reveille. We all know taps, although taps was not even written until 1862. There was a different call that was used prior to that. But as Chris was talking about, you got formations of men that are moving. Well, what if they've got to make a wheel and go to the right, or make a wheel and go to the left? Or what if they're going forward this way and all of a sudden they need to simply turn and go like this? They can't hear their commander tell them that. They don't know when to charge. That's what the bugler does. The bugler is right there in the back pocket of the commander. When we have events here, I always apologize to my commander and say, I am not trying to creep you out. I am just trying to do my job. I am right here by you. And when he says, bugler sound whatever of these 47 calls, if I don't know it right then, they're getting another bugler next time. Now, the bugler was not thought of as a musician in those days. He was not part of the band. The band was more for morale. And you had essentially a brass band with instruments kind of similar to what we have today, but not completely. Love to see the old tubas. They actually go over the shoulder as opposed to like we have tubas today. But they were more for morale. And they typically were by themselves in the camp. You would have a regimental bugler, and he's a King Chuckabobo of all the buglers. He's going to have his quarters near the commander. He's going to have mess with the senior officers. The company buglers, on the other hand, are going to be with the men. They are first going to be trained in the manual of arms. In my reading, very few of them came into the war as a bugler. They went to a camp, they learned how to do the manual of arms, and when it was found out that they had a little musical ability, sometimes very little musical ability, they handed them a bugle and a manual and said, have at it. The regimental bugler was in charge of all the other buglers and maintained that they knew what they were supposed to do. There were a lot of casualties among buglers because they're typically there by the commanders. The sharpshooters on the other side had this figured out, and they tried to kill the commanders. And a bugler standing right there, he is right in the line of fire. He is not in the back. He is there for the line of fire. So, but everything that happened in camp or on the battlefield, the bugler was there to have some involvement in. All the way from first call is actually not reveille. First call is to have the buglers assemble, and it goes da 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 da. The troops would say something to the effect of, "Love to shoot the stupid buglers." Of course, the ladies say, "Ladies love to kiss the handsome buglers." So it depends on one's perspective, I suppose.